tonight to our 21st Annual Awards Banquet, the City All-Star Chapter of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. My name is Dave Spadaro from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm honored to be here, honored to be among greatness, the class of 2012. We've got a wonderful program for you tonight, so let's get things moving immediately. We begin our program by introducing the executive director of our organization. Please welcome the man who puts this all together, Mr. Milt Halstead.
First of all, I want to welcome everyone here tonight. I want to thank you for all coming, for all of you for coming. The other thing is, when the speakers are up here, if you could keep the chatter down so everyone can hear the award winners. There's just a couple of people I want to thank. Mark Wolpert from the Maxwell Club. Where's he sitting? He's right there. They contributed a lot of stuff in the back, and they've helped us through the years with our scholarship fund. I also want to thank the football officials that are back there. They run a golf outing prior to the clinic, and all the money from that golf outing is raised, goes into scholarships that we raise. Also, where's Jerry Cantor? He's a gentleman over here that's been supporting this for years. He was a good friend of one of our former members, Bob Caesar, who passed away. And last and not least, Bill Paulo from Executive Auto Body, who donates an awful lot of money for the scholarship fund. With all that's here tonight, we should be able to raise over $6,000 for scholarships, which is a great thing. That's enough about who does what and where. All the gentlemen that have been working, no one's paid, everybody volunteers their time. I'm sure you'll be meeting Wayne, he's our president. It's his job to keep the club moving. With that being said, thank you, God bless you, and have a great night.
Thanks very much, Milt. Reminder, well, my first mention of it actually, we do have a great table, a silent auction, and we have raffle tickets going around. 2 for $5, 5 for $10, 12 for $20. All of the money that we raise tonight, of course, goes into the scholarship fund. Let's please welcome the man to my left, the president of our organization, Mr. Wayne Cunningham.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of our chapter. I want to thank the board of directors who really put this together, along with Milt, Mike Poland, and the rest of the guys on the board. They do a super job. This is our 21st banquet. I'd like to introduce just a couple people. We have the president and vice president of the Montgomery County chapter. If they'll stand up, Dave Ritting, the president. Blair Thomas is the vice president. Where are you guys? One of our fellow chapter members. We're glad to have them here. Thanks for coming, guys. I also want to introduce our Senior Regional Vice President, Joe D'Angelo. Joe's back here. Thanks, Joe. Okay. And I just want to wish everybody a happy time, nice time, good food, and let's get started. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Wayne. If I could please introduce a really special talent. We're in a room full of great talent here. This young lady is extraordinarily talented. If you haven't had the opportunity to enjoy her magical voice, you'll do so now. Please welcome Maureen Adamson, who will sing our Star Spangled Banner. Maureen?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were
Scout Jim Murray will deliver our invocation.
Oh, you do? All right, I'm right here.
If you would please stand again. And if we can remember, as we pray, the two firemen who lost their lives yesterday, Robert Neary from Father Judge, class of 1970, and Dan Sweeney from Bishop McDevitt, class of 05. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for it is through your goodness that we are gathered here this evening to honor and perpetuate the memory of the men and women who have brought lasting fame to the state of Pennsylvania through their athletic achievements. We are grateful for the blessings you have bestowed on us, athletes, coaches, officials, and administrators. And we ask you, God, to bless what we are about to eat and what we are about to do tonight, tomorrow, and always. Amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. We'll start the program shortly with our class of 2012. And remember, our raffles will continue until we introduce the class of 2012. 2 for $5, 5 for $10, 12 for $20. Thank you so much for making this a special evening. Enjoy your dinner. The 2012 class of the City All-Star Chapter of the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. Our first inductee stepped into the William Penn Charter School 52 years ago. And with just a few exceptions, very brief, has not left the hallways of that institution. He played soccer and track at Penn Charter, played both sports again at Temple University. After that, made his mark as a coach in track at Penn Charter, leading the school to 21 Interact Championships, honored as the Pennsylvania Track and Field Coach of the Year in 1997, has twice been inducted into the Penn Charter Athletic Honor Roll. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Stephen Bonney.
I'll be very careful, Billy. I'm okay. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame for selecting me for this wonderful honor. People at Penn Charter incredibly say that they think that I talk too much. So, I was a sprinter at Penn Charter and Temple, so I'll make this a really fast speech. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank my family who are here tonight for their lifetime of support, which all coaches need. I want to remember and thank my coaches at Penn Charter, Chick Connard and Russ Faber, and my coaches at Temple, Pete Linus, and in particular Jack St. Clair, who was a great coach and also taught me some new words. I want to thank my superb assistant coaches who are also here tonight, and of course, as always, do all the work while I take all the credit. I'd like to thank the heads of school at Penn Charter who hired me, Dr. Earl Ball and Dr. Darrell Ford, and also the athletic directors at Penn Charter, Paul Butler and Bill Gallagher, who did not fire me. But I absolutely want to thank all of those kids who gave me a great effort and won for us, and I am here because of those kids. I'm very honored to be on this stage with these incredible athletes and coaches. Joe Hindeline had the most beautiful arching jump shot you have ever seen, and he killed Penn Charter with it. Louis Meal was the best player I ever had the honor to play with, and he could handle the ball like a magician. I couldn't even steal the ball from Louis in practice. Bill Gallagher, great athlete, coach, and great athletic director. Oh, but wait a second. Wait a second. But Billy had some issues that we need to discuss. I hate to bring this up, honestly, but for full disclosure, you have to picture in the 1980s, I'm a young coach at the Penn Charter School. I am a little bit high-strung, a little bit. I'm looking for support because I'm a modern, sensitive kind of a guy. And so he's my role model. He's my father figure. He's older than my father, actually. And so I go to him for support. And what does he say to me for support? He says, anybody can coach track. Just tell them to stay to the left and get back as soon as they can. This was incredibly hurtful. But see, you have to think about things in life because you have to realize that he was damaged in his youth. He's a star running back at Notre Dame, and he's Ara Parseghian's favorite. You know how this goes, right? So the universe is balanced, and this is the way things work out. So Billy is unhappy because he's not getting the ball from some little skinny quarterback named Joe Theismann. Theismann, fakes the pitch to Gal, and he throws it or he runs it himself. So Billy says to Joe Theismann, Joe, remember me? I'm your boy Gal. Rhymes with pal. Theismann says, yeah, you know me. Theismann rhymes with Heisman. Moving right along. Coaches like to think about what they have taught, but here's what I have learned. First of all, it's great to be a coaching genius, but you all know it's really not the X's and the O's, it's actually the Jimmies and the Joes, right? I always notice that I always get a lot smarter when I'm fortunate enough to have kids who are really fast sprinters. Number two, it's fine to teach values and appropriate life skills, but what matters most is what the kids have learned and take with them. Society really does benefit from the positive lessons learned in sports, such as being on time, being prepared, respecting authority, giving up control to others, and always giving a great effort with good sportsmanship. Success in sports and winning can be a valuable experience, especially when it reinforces doing the right things. It's great to teach values to kids, and they will absorb them a little bit better when you're not 0-20. And also with winning, it's really a lot more fun for everybody. Teacher has a great responsibility to teach values and proper behavior, but things are more easily taught when they're experienced in athletics. And then finally, I have a whole bunch of war stories, which I'm not going to go through, thank goodness. But I'd like to tell you one about one athlete I had, an athlete named Chris Albright. Chris Albright graduated from Penn Charter in 1997, and as you know, he's an exceptional soccer player and plays for the Union. Chris was my captain, my star, my best athlete in 1997, and obviously was going to be a pro player. In the spring of that year, he was invited to be on the national team. And so he was going to leave me to go to Europe to play on the national team and miss the Interact Championship. And of course, if he left us, we would certainly lose. But one of the things that people don't talk about as much, not politically correct anymore very much, is loyalty to your school, to your friends, and to your coaches. My assistant coach, Liz Fleming, talked to him for hours about this, and finally Chris, great kid, showed his loyalty. He gave up going with the national team to stay and run with us, and we were able to win the championship. And we've had a lot of kids like that, and so I thank Chris and all the kids that were loyal to the Penn Charter track cause, which is why I am here right now. Thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much for being relatively brief. We now know the definition of brief. It's different for people. Nonetheless, move on. Our next inductee has spent a blessed life, reading his bio, in the world of sports as a player, as a coach, and as an official, an all-Catholic League basketball player at St. Joseph's Prep. Spent 18 months serving our country in the military, came back, attended LaSalle College, played 4 years of basketball there that included 3 appearances in what was the biggest show going then, the National Invitational Tournament. He was then a coach of basketball at the youth level, won a city championship in 8th grade with St. Matthew's Grade School, officiated after that, and is still active. Most important, is blessed to have had 5 children, 20 grandchildren, and 2 great grandkids. Please welcome to the class of 2012, Matt Fanning.
I too am very happy to be honored by the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. It's an honor, and it's something I didn't expect, but I'm very happy to have it. Everything in that program that he just talked about was what I was going to talk about. So I didn't know where they got all the information because I didn't give it to them. I gave them very brief about playing a little bit of basketball in high school and college, and they really elaborated on it, so I don't know. But I will say this, my whole life has been basketball. From grade school, I went to St. Joe's Prep for 4 years. I had 4 coaches. So I don't know if that was my fault that they all left or they didn't get paid enough. But 4 years with 4 coaches, and then in LaSalle I had 2 coaches.
Just be careful.
But he said, at that time, the National Invitation Tournament was the premier place to go. The first year there was only 8 teams invited, and the last couple of years after that was 12 teams. But then the NCAA took over and they run everything now. But at LaSalle, we had a great basketball team. I was talking to some people here today who probably remember, like Larry Faust, Jimmy Fallon, Buddy Donnelly, Ace McCann, Norm Grecken. These are all great basketball players, and we really had the best team in the city, I thought, at the time. There was no Big Five. This was way, way before the Big Five. But we had a very good ball team. As I say, I refereed for a few years, and I really enjoyed high school basketball. I like college basketball too, but I cannot stand the pros, and it's not a basketball game anymore. They push, they shove, and they walk 3 or 4 steps, and the guys playing defense, they just walk around him now. I mean, I think like a guy like Bob Cousy, he'd be super now. He could dribble right by people, take 3 steps, he's there. But that's my thoughts about the basketball game today. But I would like to thank my wife of 60 years for putting up with me. On me running the basketball games, coaching games, and refereeing. She put up a lot with putting up with me. And I also want to thank my children and my grandchildren and my daughter for being here today. And I appreciate them coming, and I'm very, very thankful. And thank you very again, Pennsylvania Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Matt. Final reminder for raffle tickets: 2 for $5, 5 for $10, 12 for $20. After our next inductee, we'll start pulling some numbers, and if your raffle number is picked, go to the back of the room and claim your prize. Also, one more reminder: if you could just fill out the information on your ticket stub and deposit that information into the blue bucket, we appreciate that very much. We're going to enter the new millennium here and go into a website and email system next year, so we'd love to have your information so we can contact you in the future and keep you a part of this great organization. Our next inductee into the 2012 Honor Roll, somebody I've had an opportunity to know here over the last couple of years, along with Mr. Bonney. It's been my great pleasure to be associated with so many wonderful people from Penn Charter, from the Little Quakers football program. Bill Gallagher, one of the legendary football players in this region, really ever. A CYO legend, 33 touchdowns in 8 games. Led the Catholic League in scoring in his junior and senior seasons at Father Judge, all Catholic both years. Went to Notre Dame on a football scholarship and was a standout for the Fighting Irish. Came back to the area and has since that time given to youth. And that's really the most important thing. Learned from his upbringing that the best thing is to find strong leaders, strong mentors, and has done so for so many years. Head coach at Chestnut Hill Academy, including a 1976 undefeated team. Head coach at Penn Charter, won 6 football championships there. Director of athletics at Penn Charter with so many championships, too many to name. Also coached youth football for more than 25 years, compiling a record of 162 wins, 89 losses, 4 ties. He's a member of the Hall of Fame at Father Judge, Chestnut Hill, Roman Catholic, and Penn Charter. Please welcome to the class of 2012, Bill Gallagher.
Once again, I got to say that's an introduction that my father would be proud and my mother would believe. Steve Bonney, you got to be lucky this is not a roast. Brother Neil, you would have an easy time, an easy hit on this guy. He failed to mention that before every practice, he also says to his team, you know, we run ours off to beat theirs. I mean, what is that? You know? And now, all you children, again, you know, stay to the right, stay to the left to get back as soon as you can. Every day, 44 years saying the same thing. Incredible. My dad really would be proud. Excuse me. He really would be. He was a guy of very few words. As you guys know, he never would have come up to me and said, you know, Bill, I'm really proud. But he wouldn't have to. You know, I would just know by his presence that he really was proud. But I'm not as good as that as he was, as far as you know, giving verbal signs. So I want to make sure that everybody here understands that if John McGardo or Milt Halstead had come to my house with the certificate, it would have been a great honor. But what makes it, you know, just incredible is the amount of people that are here tonight. And I just want to let you know I really appreciate your being here. There's a whole bunch of other people. There's a bunch of other people that I really have to thank because they're had major responsibilities in my being up here. For example, 33 touchdowns in 8 games at CYO player. Well, I mean, that's all my family. That's brother Tom and Mike and Neil, Bob, sister Eileen. You know, that's all those. I'm one of 10, 8 boys. And the 2 girls brought guys around too. So we were constantly playing. I mean, there was never a moment when you didn't have, you know, 10, 12, 15 guys to play with. And growing up in the Northeast, you know, we played, forget football, basketball, baseball. I mean, we played hose ball and handball and wire ball and step ball. You know, we was Fox in the Morning and all kinds of stuff like that. So by the time 8th grade CYO football came around, I mean, that was a piece of cake. I was already a graduate of the Gallagher All Sports Camp, you know, so I mean, that was a phenomenal part of my life, and that's what got me started. So then you go up, I go to Judge, and it's like being at the right place at the right time, because I'm a running back, and Judge had just tremendously large offensive linemen. And they also had a system that Coach Brownlow, offensive system, where the tailback's the only one that ever ran the ball. So I had a fullback by the name of Pat Manzi, who I believe is a member of the Hall. He was in front of me for a couple of years, and then Franny Brennan, and then this big offensive line that, you know, I also had an offensive line coach by the name of Al Hissner. Many of you may have heard that name, that he made these big linemen, big mean linemen. And so those 2 scoring titles were kind of a benefit of the system that I played in and the people that were there. So I thank Coach Brownell and Hister and those big offensive linemen for helping me get. Here's an example of that 2-time leading scorer. Well, the next 3 years, Father Judge running backs led the league in scoring again. So it really was. I had some talent, but you'd be in the right system at the right time in that. So, that certainly got me into Notre Dame, okay? And Notre Dame certainly is, to me, it's a very special place. It was probably even more special back then because we won. We used to win some games back then, and as Steve said, Theismann was a year ahead of me, and his senior year, my junior year, we really probably should have been national champions. We finished second in the country, even though we had beaten Texas in their 30-game winning streak in the Cotton Bowl, and they were ranked number 1. We were ranked 3. So, that really was a special place. And I know for sure that had a lot to do with me being hired at Chestnut Hill Academy. I'm 23 years old, and I'm named the head football coach at Chestnut Hill Academy. So, I know that the fact that I was a player at Notre Dame had something to do with that. Of them bringing in some young guy with their young program at the time and trying to get some wins that way. But at Chestnut Hill, I'm going to tell you right now, I met the 2 people that probably had the most influence in my coaching career. And one is Mage McDonald. I hope you all know that name. Mage, longtime association with the Phillies, St. Tommy forevermore. Mage coached baseball there, and the same Mage McDonald of all the sayings that I've been using for all the years, plenty after 12, what time you been last night, and all those kind of things. That Mage McDonald. Mage was my mentor. Mage and I would meet several times, and we never spoke about X's and O's. It was never one of those things where you're drawing up stuff on the napkins. Mage influenced my coaching career. Probably the one really important thing that he said to me was, that you've got to get your players, you can't get your players ready to play a game every week. You've got to get them ready to practice every day. If you get them to practice every day, mentally ready and fired up to practice every day, then the game will take care of itself. The other guy is Jack Plunkett. I know Jack's also a member. Another guy that left us too soon. I found Jack during a summer job. I had been coaching 1 year at Chestnut Hill Academy, and had a summer job out on the Turnpike, and I bumped into Jack Plunkett, and we start talking. We start spending some time together that summer. I said, Jack, did you ever think of coaching? He said, no. And I said, well, why don't you come and coach with me at Chestnut Hill Academy? And the rest is history. And I think you all know, the people that know him or know of him, if I were inducted in here for no other reason, I'm the guy that got Jack Plunkett into coaching. So, that's how important of a person and a good coach that he was. So after Chestnut Hill comes Penn Charter. Okay, this is where I spent most of my career, 19 years. And I thank Dr. Ball for giving me and my entire family the opportunity to be part of such a wonderful place. I've coached at several schools. Right now I'm at Episcopal, and I thank Gina Buggy and Jim Farrell for giving me the opportunity to get back into the league. But with my 3 children having graduated from Penn Charter, and Mary and I having worked there, I think I can safely say that the Gallagher family will always be a Penn Charter family. At Penn Charter, I had the opportunity to coach many talented players. Several of them are in the room this evening. I can't mention them all because I'll forget somebody. And I've also had an unbelievable coaching staff. That coaching staff, I had 20 Jack Plunketts throughout my career. I was very, very fortunate. And they were kind of just like Jack. And I really shouldn't mention any of them, but I'll mention a couple just so you get an idea of who it was. I mean, Rick Meller, who's in the Hall of Fame, who's a baseball coach, was also he's a fantastic football mind, and one of my assistant coaches there. And John Fenningham from the E.T. Sunset Lounge. Just had such a rapport with different kids. And probably my two favorites, and Brian McCluskey and Tommy Coyle. How would you like to play for those guys? I mean, they know all the X's and O's stuff, but they're just wonderful teachers of young adults and things. And I want to finish by introducing you to four very special Hall of Fame members. My family, Bill, stand up please, Jennifer, Megan. Bill was captain of his lacrosse team at Notre Dame. Jennifer was captain of her lacrosse team at Bucknell. Megan was captain of her team, lacrosse team at Bloomsburg. And so where were they getting all these leadership traits? Well, I was coaching everybody else. Mary Gallagher. If there's a Hall of Fame for being an outstanding daughter, sister, mother, grandmother, and wife, Mary's in the Hall of Fame. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Bill. Congratulations. You know, this past week on national television, Baylor University won the National Women's Basketball Championship in front of a national television audience on ESPN, packed house in Denver. The whole weekend, the Final Four weekend for women's basketball was huge. There is now a professional women's basketball league that you can tune in and watch on national television. The road has been paved by pioneers like our next inductee into the 2012 Hall of Fame. She played her basketball at St. Gabriel's School in South Philadelphia. St. Maria Goretti, the captain there. A legend, obviously, on the basketball court. After her playing days were over, turned to the officiating side and has been a pioneer there at the high school level as well as the college level in basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the 2012 Hall of Fame, Eileen Haig.
I just have to ask, did I sell those tickets? Thank you very much. My 1973 basketball team is here. My forwards, guards, my defensive players, they all came tonight. That's why you never forget where you come from. Thank you for inducting me into the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame City All-Star Chapter. And congratulations to all the honored guests. I am truly proud to be part of this prestigious group. I first would like to thank my family, my husband Bill, my sons Billy and Ryan, my daughter Eileen Jr. And she doesn't like refereeing. How about that? I tried with her. I told her the money's good. For always allowing me to fulfill my dreams. And to my dearest sisters, you know I have a lot of them. You truly are my heart and soul. Where would I be without my mentors? Eileen Rafferty Rillo, my South Philly mentor, and Kathy Maloney Carchidi. They not only taught me how to referee, but what was really important in the game of life. And for that, I will always be grateful. To my fellow referees, the stories, and we all have our special ones. The rides in the cars, the games we officiated. At times we would say, we actually get paid to do this. And then those times when we wanted to throw in the towel. But it was the friendships that kept us going. A lot of fun assigning back in those days. No cell phones, no emails, no texting, covering over 30 games a day, waiting for refs to call you back. Oh, did I forget to mention how much they paid me? One funny story. I was officiating at St. Hubert's. The AD gets my attention. I see her standing there with a police officer, and she tells me to stop the game. The officer needs to talk to you. Immediately I thought something happened to my kids. He proceeds to tell me there are no refs at Hasman Recreation Center. We called your house. Your son said you were refereeing at St. Hubert's. Believe it or not, he was on duty at the time and stopped at the rec center. His daughter was playing on one of the teams. He said, I'll drive over to St. Hubert's and find her. I looked at him and said, you mean to tell me you have no refs at Hasman? That was one game that did not have referees. He actually tracked me down. He probably was on overtime. And in closing, there's an old saying, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I have been blessed. Thank you.
Philadelphia has long been known, and we kind of take it for granted now, as an institution in the sport of boxing. Well, our next inductee is one of the reasons why Philadelphia is so hallowed in the sport. He was a boxer in the welterweight and middleweight divisions. His signature win in his career, a 10-round decision over former world champion Emil Griffith. And he eventually fought for the WBA and WBC junior middleweight title, the championship of the world. He compiled a 32-12-4 record in the ring, and after his career as a boxer, took the discipline and the toughness and the focus and worked with children and really made a difference for some kids who needed guidance. A man who's well deserved here, being part of the 2012 Honor Roll. Let's please welcome Stanley Kitten Haybird.
I'd like to thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And I would like to thank the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for inducting me into the Hall of Fame here. Joe and Don, and especially my good friend Jerry, thank you very much for helping me get into a Hall of Fame here. I'd like to thank my best friends, Ronnie and her family, her grandson and her daughter, for being here. And I would like to say it's an honor for me being here too, to see all my good friends that I haven't seen for years. I'm still here and you're still here. That's very good for me. I'd like to tell you about how I got started in boxing. It's very easy. If I was fighting today, it would be very, very easy for me to be a boxer. When I first started, West Philly Boys Club. Are people familiar with West Philly Boys Club out there? Right. This young man named Candy McFarland, he was boxing. I was a basketball player, by the way. Dad, I was a basketball player. And I went and said, where are all the guys doing? They said, they're up watching the boxing show. I went upstairs, watched the boxing show. So I said, you guys doing in here? He said, well, we're watching Candy McFarland fight. I said, the guy can't fight. So the father overheard what I said. He said, he want a boxing. I said, why not? Back in the early 50s, you was game to say, why not? So I put the gloves on. He whooped me up, of course. And I waited for him on the outside, which I'm a street fighter. So his father said, look, we're not street fighter. We fight in the ring. He said, come back tomorrow and try it again. I said, I will. I came back the next day. I got whooped up again. So what happened? This time I got a stick. Put it in water. Gonna really whoop him up this time. His father heard that again. He said, look, come back and try it again tomorrow. I said, I will. Oh boy, was I game and I had heart. So when I came back, he said, look, he said, you can't beat him. You have to take some training from me. So I said, okay, I'll take the training. I took the training. Before you know it, I started whooping everybody in the gym except for the guy that whooped me up. So what happened? It was a month later. He put me in the ring with his son, and I really got my revenge. I really blooded him up. So all at once, I went home, felt great, didn't go back to the gym. He came looking for me. He said, by the way, my name is Stanley. He said, Stanley. I said, why are you not back in the gym? I said, I don't want to be no fighter. He said, but you can make a lot of money. I said, how much can you make? He said, 5,000. I said, I'll be there tomorrow. So that's why I said the difference is, if I was fighting today, the million they make today, I would have been there right away like I did in this boxing world. So anyway, I came back, became a fighter. Didn't take me long. Only had one amateur fight. Then I said, I want the money. I want that $5,000. I went all the way to Reading. Oh, that wasn't Reading. It was, way up to Erie, Pennsylvania. I went up there. Couldn't wait for that $5,000. So all at once, my fighter didn't show up. Guess what? It was a guy called Sugar Ray Robinson. His manager was there, and he had fighters like Don King, a lot of fighters, correct? A lot of fighters. So my fighter didn't show up, his fighter didn't show up. I mean, his fighter showed up, but their opponent didn't show up. So they say, let's make the match, him and my boy. So the guy had like at least 15 pounds on me. I said, I want to fight. I want to get my money. I want to get paid at $5,000. So what happened? I won the fight. I couldn't wait for that $5,000. When it was all over, I got paid. They handed me something like $200. I said, what happened to the $5,000? He said, you got a lot of climbing to do. So that got me into the boxing game. Now, the main thing about it is that I was a natural fighter. My 10th fight, I was fighting in Madison Square Garden, the old time Friday night fights. And all the old good fighters came to see me, Joe Louis, all the greats. They said, who's this kid? Only had 10 fighting in Madison Square Garden on TV. It was me. And I did well. And that's when I started growing to be the top contender. And my life was very good behind boxing. I enjoyed it. I meet wonderful people like you, people like my friend over there. And oh, John, I'm sorry I didn't mention you. And my friend John, he just joined me in my last part of my boxing career. I'd just like to thank everybody who came here, and I'm just saying that it's a blessing for me to meet everyone. Okay? So thank you very much.
Next inductee has spent his life as a protector of the peace and a lover of the game of basketball. As a player, as a coach, and as an administrator, he coached at Holy Name, won 3 city titles, the 26th District Police Athletic League team, won 2 titles. The Fishtown Athletic Club won 4 titles, all with this inductee as the head coach. He is still active in the game of basketball, very much so, on a nightly basis, and sometimes many times a night basis, as the executive director of the Marquardt Basketball Club, the oldest basketball club in the country that honors scholastic basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dennis Hill.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate my fellow award winners tonight. It's a great honor. I'm very honored to receive this award tonight. I would like to thank a few of my basketball mentors because they are the people who taught me to respect the game. One was Frank O'Neill, my grade school basketball coach. Fran Doherty, who I played for at North Catholic. And my staff from the Marquardt Club, especially Tom Lynch and Chuck Boris. They always have my back. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank my mother and father also for what they gave up for me to play the game and put up with all those knee operations. And my good friend Mike Foley back there, who used to have to drive me around because he had a car. But there's one gentleman here, 2 gentlemen tonight. One back when I coached Holy Name. Of course, you know, you have 15 kids in one car. There was always somebody you had to find a ride. And I'd like to thank Marty Golding for everything he did for me. And then with the Marquardt Club, there's one gentleman here, and he's one of the last 3 surviving Billy Marquardt members, Joe Driscoll, who played on the last Marquardt teams. Stand up, please, Joe. There is what basketball is all about in Philadelphia, that gentleman. I would like to thank also my teammates over the year and my fellow coaches when I was coaching. Also the players who I hope that I gave leadership to for the journey of life. I have played the game, scouted, coached, officiated, and yes, even one time I was announcer for a Catholic League playoff game. Then I realized I should have done that years ago. I still have good knees. I made many great friends through the game. Joe Hinderlang and I played together 45 years ago at Montgomery, at Richmond and Allegheny. But the biggest thrill is the Marquardt Club. We have expanded to include women in the suburban schools. And they're the 2 biggest things I'm very proud of to keep the tradition alive of this great organization. I pray that our group can keep the tradition alive and honor classic basketball in Philadelphia. There is one person, and as we were talking earlier, and every person up here, when you're involved in the sport, you have a person behind you. Well, I wasn't home. I was out to see 182 high school games this year. Also, when I am home, I'm on the phone 25 to 30 hours a week. But Mary Jane Young, she doesn't mind. She supports me. Thank you. I will end tonight with 2 quotes. One from a very good friend of mine, Jim Phelan, the former Mount St. Mary's coach, who told me, "Dad, be good to the game, because the game's been good to you." And another is my favorite from great Irish writer William Butler Yeats. "My glory is that I had such friends." I thank you and enjoy the evening.
Our next inductee, a star athlete in baseball and basketball at Lincoln High School, named Philadelphia's most outstanding athlete in 1963, played baseball and basketball at Temple University, drafted in baseball by the New York Yankees in the 38th round of the 1967 draft. A long-time baseball and basketball coach, if you look in the book, you'll see a litany of names and successes. It's just a remarkable story of a successful coach, a mentor, a leader, a teacher. 25 of his players have played in the professional ranks in the great game of baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the 2012 Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame, Joe Hinderlang.
I learned somewhere along the way that any event one attends, it really comes in 3 parts. Prior to the event, and how about how much fun it was out in the bar, out in the lobby, to meet people who you have not seen in years. and the commitment that some of you have made to get here. I had 3 people here tonight who've come from Penn State, which is about 3.5 hours away. And the turnout, Mike Paulin said, it's really a record tonight. So I'd like all of you to give each other a hand for the commitment to get here tonight.
Great job.
The second part is now, during the ceremonies, and the last part is afterwards. And don't be in such a rush to leave if you haven't touched base with some of your other friends. First, a general thank you to the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, City All-Star Chapter, and to all its officers and to the chapter's active community sponsorship of scholarships for deserving students. Furthermore, a special thank you to Secretary Mike Paulin, who tirelessly fielded my phone calls and helped me navigate through this process. Next, congratulations to the other inductees and to the new inductees being honored here tonight, along with their family members, friends, and guests. For me, this honor is both flattering and humbling, and tonight presents me an opportunity to say some special and well-deserved thanks to a select group of people who made this award and evening possible for me. It was 4 months ago when I received a call from John McArdle informing me of my selection. I later prodded him to tell me it was he who nominated me. John, I will never be able to thank you enough. I'm deeply touched by this honor presented by an organization I've gotten to know over the past few months, celebrate in a geographical area I love, and in a facility with which I had been familiar since my childhood days. My mother would come to social functions at Constadters and speak about them enthusiastically when she returned home. I was born and raised at 2930 North Street, and I always look forward to coming back to Northeast Philadelphia, which will always be home for me. My small world as a child growing up in Mayfair was limited to the neighborhoods where my bike would take me. Tacony, Frankfurt, Holmesburg, Ronhurst, and Tarsdale. I thought the world was full of row houses with one-car families, and where all children used bikes or TC or SEPTA for transportation. In fact, my roommate for all my 4 years at Temple was Chris Kafalis, currently living in Greece. He would ask me how in the world I knew which house on North Street was mine, since they all looked the same. I would sarcastically reply that it was the letter H on the screen door that helped me. In any case, I was very fortunate to start playing organized ball through Sandlot Sports at age 13 or 14. First for Ray Block with Mayfair Athletic Club, and then later with Northeast Athletic Club, and eventually Lincoln High School, which began in 8th grade at the time. It was at Lincoln that I began to appreciate what influence coaches and teachers can have on student athletes. I played for Bill Smith in baseball, and he in turn encouraged me to play for Ben Cope at Lownslogger American Legion for 2 summers. Coach Smith would attend my summer baseball games. In addition, Lincoln's basketball coach, Dr. Harry Silcox, coaxed me to travel each summer morning to a day camp he ran at Lincoln, where he would put me through the ringer with drills upon drills and promised to buy me a soda and hoagie at Jean's if I could beat him in foul shooting or one-on-one. Needless to say, we did not get many hoagies or drinks. To all of you here tonight, regardless of your age, don't wait until it's too late like I did in a few instances to thank people in your lives who helped pave your successful path through your life. Tomorrow, call them, thank them, invite them to lunch, and just say thanks for what they have done for you. As a proud Temple alumnus, I played for legendary coach Harry the Chief Litwack in basketball, and also college baseball Hall of Fame coach Skip Wilson, who also coached me in basketball during my freshman year. Skip has been a tremendous influence on my coaching career that not many people realize. Practice was always fun. He would play any team, anywhere, at any time. He added, just don't cheat me. His philosophy of placing constant offensive pressure on the opposition, where we tried to make the opposition uncomfortable in their dugout, stayed with me my entire career. And this philosophy is a huge reason I am being honored here tonight. And also I want to thank Sue, his wife, for attending. Bob Morgan, Drexel University's Hall of Fame and Basketball All-American. Previous athletic director and superb basketball coach at Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Science. now the University of Sciences in Philadelphia, opened the door for me in college coaching, hiring me as an assistant basketball and head baseball coach, based somewhat, I guess, on the recommendation of my good friend Jim Maloney, longtime basketball coach at Temple under Coach Don Casey and John Chaney. Paul Kamitis, now AD at University of Sciences in Philadelphia, was invaluable to me, accompanying me on all-way baseball trips and helping with logistics. Then it was AD Olaf Collival at Lafayette College, who hired me as assistant basketball and a head baseball coach, and I'm proud parent to report that Lafayette is where my son Joel will graduate next month. Finally, Rich Lucas, Penn State's Hall of Fame football player, All-American, Maxwell Award winner and Heisman Trophy runner-up, and former assistant athletic director at Penn State, gave me the opportunity to coach baseball in the Big Ten. For my entire 14-year tenure at Penn State, I witnessed Rich fight for fairness and equality for the sports for which he was responsible. When we won the NCAA Regional in 2000, which allowed us to compete in the Super Regional in Austin, Texas, Rich was one of the few waiting in the parking lot, waving, smiling, and cheering as our bus pulled in. Russ Roof, although his true love is wrestling, 2 national championships in a row for Penn State, assisted me in helping start the Penn State University Baseball Dugout Club, and eventually seeing it flourish from 25 members to over 200. A very special thank you to my former Penn State assistant Dave Jamieson, who is here tonight. Without doubt, Dave is a gifted teacher and coach, but more importantly, his character and makeup are without equals. In my opinion, the mold was discarded after he was made. The takeaway from the coaching profession for me is certainly not just about winning and losing, but more importantly about establishing lifelong relationships and enjoying unique and fun experiences, and helping to make the lives of the players you coach and others a little better, a little brighter, a little easier, or to help open some doors in their lives. To witness Ryan Wheeler, Temple's current new head baseball coach, who played for me at Penn State, working diligently and absolutely in love with his job, is difficult for me to articulate my good feeling I have for Ryan. Lastly, special thanks to my friends here tonight, Lincoln alums Carl Sykes and Erwin Kosemple, Bob Brand and Bob Brown, both of whom played on our Lincoln's baseball team, and my college teammates Chico Sacchetti, Frank Paris, and Tom DeFelice, and talented Temple and Big Five Hall of Fame basketball player Clarence Brookins. Here tonight, to my brother Clark, who seemed to have traveled over the country following and supporting my college teams, to his wife Andrea, to my nieces Jen and Sarah, to my lovely wife Margot, who has not only kept me grounded in my chosen profession, but also kept my Penn State teams healthy through her profession as team physician, director of athletic medicine. And she also helped try and keep me with winning and losing in perspective. No easy task. Finally, a warm thank you and love to my son Joel, who along with my wife have added a dimension to my life I never knew were possible. The best to all of you in attendance here tonight. Thank you all again.
One of the themes of tonight is not only honoring the men and women who are outstanding on their particular field of play, their courts, their rink, their pitch, whatever, it's giving back. And our next inductee has done that as well as anyone that we've inducted here since I've been the MC. A multi-sport athlete as a youth who then transitioned to the coaching world at Father Judge High School. 19 years at Judge, many coaching positions, including defensive coordinator in the game of football, a head coach at St. John Newman, a head coach at Cardinal Doherty, coached at Archbishop Ryan, Archbishop Wood, then back to Archbishop Ryan again, a member of the Father Judge Hall of Fame. Please welcome to the class of 2012, Frank McCardle.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee, congratulate the other inductees. There are many people who have helped me throughout my playing and coaching career. Far too many to mention, but I do want to thank all of them. I have been blessed with many great teammates, coaches, starting with the best of them all, excuse me, my mom and dad. They taught me and my brothers and sisters how to compete, be respectful to all opponents, give 100% in everything you do, to win or lose with class and dignity. Thanks, Mom. In May of 1962, in this very room, I received my first award, a trophy from Crispin Gardens. At that banquet, there are many of my friends that are here tonight. Stas Tunney, Larry Punches, Mike Duffner, Pat Dugan, the Savali family, and the Haig family. Little that I know, some 50 years later, I received an award with Mr. Savali, Eileen Haig, Billy's wife, and many other of the same friends that are here tonight. In high school, I was blessed to have great coaches and teammates. Mr. Bill Brownell, Brady Severn, Al Hister, Tom Rooney, and Jerry Judge were our coaches. One of my teammates was Billy Geiger. What an honor to enter the Hall of Fame with you, Bill. After my playing career was over, I began coaching at Crispin. Ray Perry, Jack Purdy started me on this journey that I've enjoyed beyond my wildest dreams. In 1974, John Weddy Selden became the head coach at Judge. It was then I began coaching in high school, my dreams since I was a little boy. Coaching with Weddy was awesome. He let me coach. I had the pleasure of coaching with Bruce Gladhorn, Billy Edger, Tom Rooney, Jeb Lynch, Warren Southern, John Cunningham, Billy Cook, and my brother John, and many others. Our time at Judge is very special, and coaching young men in my high school was priceless to me. 19 years developed a lot of friendships that still last today. In 1993, I began coaching St. John Newman. I love my time coaching in South Philly. In '94, I had the opportunity to become the head coach. I found my time at Newman that the South Philly kids were tough, as hungry, and as loyal as any groups of kids anywhere. Some of them are here tonight. Thank you, guys. You're the best. I would like to thank my assistants during my time as the head coach at Newman and Doherty. There was many of them, but I would like to name a few. Mike Mulheron, Jack Branca, Bob Mesia, and Jimmy Mannion. After Newman was off to Colonel Doherty, when I would meet a man that would change my life forever, Jerry Gallagher. He became my second dad. Jerry, your compassion, your love of kids, and fellow man is unbelievable. Listening to me after a tough loss had to be hard, but you always saw the glass as half full, never half empty. Your encouragement was priceless. After Colonel Doherty was on Archbishop Bryan, where I got to see my 3 sons and my daughter play and grow as young adults. I'd like to thank my brothers Matt and Ed for all the support you give me and following my career as I've been going along. As much of the honor means to everyone, me and all the other inductees, being able to join my dad and my brother John makes this an even more special to me. I'd like to thank my brother John. You're always there for me and my family. You always know what to do when I need you. You always know what to say. Thank you. To my wife Denise, you are my strength, my love. All the days I coach, you always back me up, comfort me, rejoice with me. You were the best. I love you. Once again, I'd like to thank all the people I played with, coached with, and coached. I share this award with all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay. The boss has given me 3 tickets for the autographed football. Mrs. Nixon Quanto, you are the winner. If you could see Milt as well, in the back. And then 2 more gifts, see Milt as well. SPP Foley and Jen Gallagher. If you could report to the back. What a winning night for the Gallaghers. All right. The game of soccer is the world's game. It's the beautiful sport. We love our baseball, we love our football, we love our basketball, our hockey, all of that here in America. We love our soccer. In the rest of the world, it is soccer, soccer, soccer. Philadelphia has made a great contribution to the game of soccer throughout the history of the sport. And we have an inductee here tonight who's perhaps one of the greatest jewels of our Philadelphia region. A stellar soccer career at Frankfort High School, played at Temple University, honorable mention All-American twice, a first-team All-American in his senior season, inducted into Temple Hall of Fame in 1986, played professionally for 5 seasons with the Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals, also played with the Philadelphia Spartans in the ASL, the Philadelphia Atoms, part of a NASL championship team in Philadelphia, and then after playing the game of soccer has given back so much to the youth, and then at the collegiate level, both at Textile and at Drexel University. Please welcome to the 2012 Hall of Fame, Lou Neal.
Thanks so much. Surely congratulations to all the folks that are up here with me. It's really quite a distinguished class. Great to be part of. Steve Bonney over here mentioned something about a year that we played together at Temple University, and I do have memories of that. As a teammate in practice, Steve probably kicked me more than most of my opponents. This fella here, Joe Hindelang, I know a little bit. I played baseball as well at Frankfurt. I believe I faced Joe as a batter, and I believe I was a strikeout victim like many others. Fortunately, I never had to meet Mr. Hayward under any circumstances. I think everyone's heard the idea that if you're a coach or a player and you were to receive an award and you were selected by your peers, a coach of the year, an MVP person, you can't get a better honor. I'm not so sure now because in this case, I'm not sure this committee and everyone would say they know this person here. They review all of us, and if you meet the criteria, you're fortunate enough to be inducted. So I think this is every bit the honor, and appreciate it very much. I too think that I'm coming in a very similar direction as many of the folks here. It's about opportunities, it's about support, how you got there, and maybe I could just cite a few situations that really helped me along the way, and there's just too many people. The players, the coaches that I worked with, there's just so many that it's difficult to just name them all, but I'm going to pick on a few. First, my own family of 3 sisters and a brother and 2 great parents. Grew up in the Kensington area. I guess that makes me a Kenzo. Two of my sisters are with me tonight, and 2 of my brother-in-laws, others I'll mention. I think one of the key moments for me, believe it or not, I was in junior high school at Stetson, being Allegheny. And I had a coach there named John Hughes, and he had a professional playing background as well as being a teacher. And he said to me in my 9th grade, what are you doing about high school? And I said, well, I have a preference, but I'm not in that particular school district. My preference would have been Frankfurt High School. John said, well, let me talk a little bit with the coach at Frankfurt High School. Now that would be Mr. Walter Bauer, who's with us tonight. And if you don't recognize that name as a soccer icon in this country, all over, you might recognize or remember Chris and Matthew. Both were NFL place kickers. They were his sons, okay? But what happened was, it came back to me that if I could find a course that Massbom Tech and Thomas Edison didn't offer, that was the ticket into Frankfurt. So lo and behold, I was told you have to take 2 years of Latin and keep a B average. Well, I have enough time with English. I'm going to take Latin for 2 years. But anyway, I got there, and it proved to be a great experience with Coach Barr. I even played for him in a semi-professional team, the Philadelphia Spartans, several years later. But the other real positive thing was that if I had not accepted the Latin idea, I would not have met the girl that became my wife. Okay? And even to this day, when we lay down at night to go to sleep, I hear her mumble, "I must be the luckiest girl in the world." Now, 90% of the men out there are saying, "You got that the wrong way." It's the other way, and that is correct. It would be the other way. Mr. Breyer, once I got at the latter part of Frankfurt High School, there wasn't even a recruiting situation. I think when that man says to a coach, in this case Pete Linus at Temple University, that this fella can play at your level and he's worthy of scholarship, that was all said and done. I don't even believe I received a message from the coach or anything. His word was more than good enough, and it was on your way to Temple. 3 great years there, great experience. Again, we've all talked about our families a little bit. My father was a truck driver. I don't believe he missed too many games in the 3 years. And of course, my mom would be with him. And my wife-to-be, Joanne, she was actually able to get days off of work. She came to games. So again, it was always a great support element all the way through the process. Played my last game at Temple. 1 week later, I got the first taste of a professional situation with a team called the Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals. And it was an experience because when I went there, first year it was 3 American guys. Second year it was 2. Third season was me. And you didn't always get the right flavor from the international guys that maybe didn't approve of the way you were playing, that you should play their way. But it was a great learning experience. In those days, you couldn't really earn a living in those opportunities. So my full-time work was health physical education teacher at Ben Salem High School, and that covered some 30 years. The playing aspect, real quick, was different because the seasons were always different. You would finish with one team, you could sign and play for another team, and it was a dream, really. I mean, sometimes you played 11 months a year. It might have been 2 different teams in different leagues, but it was exceptional. Once done playing, I had the opportunity, still when I was teaching, to take a position at Philadelphia Textile. Had some great teams, a couple finishes in the top 20 nationally. After that, I moved on to do 16 more years at Drexel University as the head coach there. And all these folks up here kind of made references to assistant coaches. I have 2 of them here with me, Woody Hartman and Rick Tompkins. Woody spent all 25 years of the Division I coaching with me. Rick spent 19, rounded off to 20, I think, between the 2 schools. And you don't have the success, and you're not standing up here without their support. And they're 2 guys, very good, that they were challenging type coaches. If they didn't think I was doing something right, they spoke up. And if you're gonna have success, you need people to challenge you, even at the coaching level from your assistants. So they're very much a part of my recognition here for sure. I guess from the close of the college and the 4 or 5 different teams I had to play, and the coaching I got involved in, probably covered some 40 plus years. And a lot of it was overlapping from teaching every day to practices in the evening with the teams that you had the opportunity, then to college coaching. When you weren't playing, the travel for recruiting. I was away from home a great deal. And if it wasn't for the special partner I had, and 3 good kids, it could have been tough. I went away a week at a time sometimes. I never felt like there'd be an issue at home. You know, someone was there that was overseeing it, and she was in control, and it was going to work. It was going to be successful. So with her and 3 kids that I could trust, I'm sure there's things I don't know about them. Totally. They were ones that made it so possible. You know, if you get the opportunities and you have some success, there's so many people behind it, and I was very fortunate. Without their support and many others and my players, I don't think I'd be before you right now. So, thank those folks so much, and to the organization here, the Hall of Fame, your recognition is special, and I thank all of you.
569-816-816. Great to see the local kid make it big in this day and age and super competitive world of professional basketball. Only 5 players on the court. Players from all over the world competing at the very highest level. Our next inductee came from our backyard and made it all the way to the NBA, where he remains today. A product of Germantown Academy, Interact Championships there, League Most Valuable Players there, attended Villanova University and was a first-team All-League member. Most importantly, earned his degree in liberal arts. Went on to the big show, second-round draft pick of the Portland Trailblazers, later traded to the Toronto Raptors, and just as his career was taking off, you know, got a big contract, a big commitment from Toronto, suffered a knee injury that ultimately ended his playing career, but had the resolve and the love for the game to remain in the sport, first as a coach and now as the director of player development with the Toronto Raptors. Please welcome to the class of 2012, Alvin Williams Jr.
Thank you. I always do this. I always say I'm going to speak from the heart, and then I don't write anything down. I forget everything I'm going to say. But first, thank you for the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for inducting me and the rest of the inductees. It's a big-time honor just to be here and just to be mentioned with all you guys and everyone alongside of me. I'd like to first thank everyone, my family, my coaches. I came in here, I see Coach Clarence. He was one of my first coaches, actually. My dad introduced me to him. He lived right around the corner from me and used to take me and a couple guys around the corner in the neighborhood and play some games. And then I see Mr. Ellaby, who I thought was the meanest man in the world. But then I realized he was just like my dad. So I see why my dad put me right in his path. But he was a great coach for me and helped me out a whole lot. And my coach is Coach Finnerty at GA. And Coach O'Connor's, who they were my first coaches as far as getting me in the situation, in the competitive situation in high school. Coach Finnerty first got here at GA, and I was actually about to leave GA, and we didn't know each other. I didn't know who he was. I'm sure he didn't know who I was, but ever since then we remained connected. And starting with the 0-10 years in the Interact, winning the Interacts after that, and Coach O'Connor spending his weekends after hours, keeping me in the gym and helping me and screaming at me, because Coach Finnerty was the good cop, Coach O'Connor was the bad cop. So that was a great relationship. And then my family, finally my family, who's been very supportive from day one. And it's never about me. I've never been that person where it's been about me. But they showed me how to sacrifice. They showed me how to discipline myself and dedicate myself to whatever I wanted. And just looking at my sisters who were just there, I always wanted a brother, but my sisters, they were my brothers, my mother, they were everything. We wrestled, they beat me, they did everything. So I'm just happy that they're a part of my life and will remain part of my life. And that's it. My mom and dad was just the backbone. You see a lot of guys, you see that you ask them who they look up to and who their role models, and I didn't have any athletes that I was close to. It was my mom and dad. And the older I get and the more I see how they raise a family, makes it even more true. that I see the sacrifice and everything that they instilled in our whole family. And without that, I would be nowhere. I would be nothing. So I just want to I appreciate you guys, and I love you guys, and thanks for everything you've ever done for me and continue to do for me. And my in-laws over there also, who are right there, and my wife, and just meeting them, and the whole relationship is just being there. It's never stopped. The support has always been there, even through my in-laws, and my wife's Zakia, and she's been supportive. Yeah, man, she's been supportive. And going in the NBA, you realize that you need that support system, because you see a lot of young guys these days, they fall by the wayside. They have a lot of talent, they have a lot of potential, but for some odd reason, they don't become who they possibly could become, or their careers don't last as long because of outside interferences, not a strong home structure, friends, whatever the case may be. I'm just fortunate enough to be on the other side because I've had support from day one. And just a quick story, I think about my first day getting drafted, going to Portland all the way across the country, and that's the first time I've ever been in GA, Villanova. I never went anywhere else. The farthest I went was Temple Ambler campus at John Chaney Sunny Hill basketball camp. So I never went away. And my first day there, we had a mini camp just for the rookies and some veterans that was trying to make teams. And we had a roommate, and my roommate was there. And before we go to our rooms, the coach had a speech, and it was like, the NBA. You know what the NBA stands for? So I'm like, National Basketball Association. But he's like, no boys allowed. So there, I knew I had to step my game up and be a man. So I get to my room, my dad calls, my roommate at the time, and Zakia had nothing to do with it. He had 2 girls in the room. First time I'm away, but he had 2 girls in the room, and my dad calls. He hears the girls in the background. So he's like, Al, what are you doing? I said, I'm just chilling, I'm hanging out. He's like, who's that in the background? I was like, oh, it's my roommate, he has some friends over here. He said, okay. That was about 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock in the afternoon. He was in Portland, 8 o'clock that night. he flew, and first thing I'm thinking, no boys allowed. And my dad came and checked me out. My dad was my roommate for the rest of the week. But that was something, I look back then, I'm thinking of stories, and we were talking about guys not having that leadership or that guidance. And without that guidance and that piece of just that little bit of whatever I can't call it, but that showed me right there I can't mess up. I can't disappoint my family. For them to take that long trip, for that, I can't mess up at all. So that helps me go on. That helps me go on to be learning from my dad and mom, a father that I want to be to my daughter Madison. And I know what I need to do. I know what I have to do, and I'm continuing to do that for my rest of my family and my daughter also. Well, that's my family too, but my daughter. So, but thank you. Thanks. I don't want to talk too much longer, but thanks a lot.
Throughout the course of the evening, we've heard it a couple of times here, and throughout the years, I've heard it many, many times here. A youth athletic association by the name of Crispin Gardens Athletic Association certainly made a difference for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children, kids, want to play sports, need some guidance, need some structure, need somewhere to go. Our next inductee, the late Charles Seravelli, helped found the Crispin Gardens Athletic Association. A successful businessman, wanted to give back to the youth, get involved in athletics, so he helped found Crispin Gardens. He coached football and baseball for 30 years. In 1988, was recipient of the first annual Crispin Gardens President's Award for Outstanding Service to Youth. Accepting on behalf of Charles Seravelli is his son, Charles Jr., the latest member of the 2012 Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame.
think we should forget those raffles, and I thank everybody here's a winner for being here tonight. Congratulations to all the inductees. On behalf of our family, we would like to thank the directors and the officers for including my father in such a distinguished group. I know if he were here, he would be honored to be included in a group with such great athletes, officials, sports personalities, and others who have contributed so much to the Philadelphia sports community. It's a testament to this organization that they acknowledge individuals such as my father, who made their impact on athletics through their dedication to youth sports. I know if my father was here tonight, he would have appreciated being included with such friends and past inductees from Crispin Gardens: Frank McArdle Sr., Ray Perry, Frank Hosman, Bill Cook, Jack Purdy, John McArdle, and the current inductee, Frank. I got one little story. We moved into the Northeast in the late 50s. There was a predominantly Catholic neighborhood. Pregnancy probably was the only form of birth control then. Every family was full of kids. All of our parents were just struggling to get by. 1962, Crispin Gardens starts. The men want to put 6 football teams onto the field. Crispin Gardens had no money. So Mr. McArdle and my father, to get all the equipment for the teams, they pledged their houses. I don't think Mrs. McArdle knew that, or my mother knew that. You know, the original men from Crispin Gardens, they, besides teaching us sportsmanship, they instilled in us a responsibility to give back. And when I look around the room and I see all the guys that I grew up with, they did a good job, you know, and I'm really proud of that. And Crispin Gardens has been a great organization, and a lot of the people here, it's all about giving back, and that's what it's about. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Would Maria Ryan please report to you? Jim Wilson was called the Forgotten Legend. So tonight, we remember the Forgotten Legend. Known in his time as the very best boxing trainer in the sport, handled many, many champions during his time, including the legendary Sonny Liston. Jim was inducted into the Pennsylvania Boxing Hall of Fame in 2009. Tonight, accepting for Jim is his son George, the final inductee this evening to the 2012 Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, Philadelphia City Chapter.
You know, they should hold a raffle. The last raffle just went off, 14 people walked out. And Eileen, hey, you have more people here than a Sixers game. I'm telling you. They were climbing over my table 40 over here. The best 10 in the country he was. And each year it would come out in the New York papers, and I'd say to my father, Dad, I said, it's great that you're the top 10. I said, but how come you're number 10? He said, kid, it's alphabetical. And that's where we are right now, alphabetical. By the way, I wanted to tell Joe D'Angelo, I am a gold card carrying member of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. And you can join that too. Vincent J. Silvano, better known as Jimmy Wilson, boxing trainer and sportsman of the 40s and 50s. The one thing that he would have really been proud of, and I'm sorry that he couldn't be here to say this, is the sports community. You people. It's absolutely wonderful. The bats and balls held by Jack Purdy, he loved that, getting together with those guys. The Mike Poland and Milt with the association right here. The Markwood with Dennis Hill. I mean, this is what this man was really about, to promote sports, even though his primary vocation was boxing. And of course, he wouldn't have gotten inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame without the likes of Charlie Scarilli, who was in here, John DeSanto, Charlie Gallagher. And the one thing that I wanted to say about that, do a little bit of PR, I don't know if you people know that they went to great lengths to erect a statue of Joey Giardello, who incidentally is a member of the Hall. You have to go down and see this statue. It's only up the street from Pax and Gino's Steaks.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets in glee, their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Maureen. Now, Jim Murray will deliver our invocation.
Oh, you do? All right, I'm right here. How many would you
If you would please stand again. And if we can remember, as we pray, the two firemen who lost their lives yesterday, Robert Neary from Father Judge, class of 1970, and Dan Sweeney from Bishop McDevitt, class of 05. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for it is through your goodness that we are gathered here this evening to honor and perpetuate the memory of the men and women who have brought lasting fame to the state of Pennsylvania through their athletic achievements. We are grateful for the blessings you have bestowed on us, athletes, coaches, officials, and administrators. And we ask you, God, to bless what we are about to eat and what we are about to do tonight, tomorrow, and always. Amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. We'll start the program shortly with our class of 2012. And remember, our raffles will continue until we introduce the class of 2012. 2 for $5, 5 for $10, 12 for $20. Thank you so much for making this a special evening. Enjoy your dinner.